Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR AD here too. Hey, how you doing? So, some of you have asked for a couple more of the sort of controversy videos that I've done previously on a number of different topics like the USA managers situation, Chelsea, Spurs, etc. I think I did one on Gary Lineker before as well. So in this video we're going to talk about the kiss, which is basically just becoming the most talked about topic in Spain and one of the most talked about topics across the women's football game and even spilling over now into the men's game. So if this isn't your cup of tea for a relaxing ASMR video, that's fair enough. But you can watch along and catch up with the crazy things that are happening with this story, even if you don't like ASMR particularly. Some of you may also find this relaxing, cool, but others of you just want to catch up with the most recent news, and this is an ASMR football or soccer channel, so this is the way that I'm going to deliver it. I hope you enjoy the video, even if it is for me, a very emotive topic. Having previously lived in Spain particularly, and also being very supportive of the women's game and progress of equality between the men's and women's game, this has exploded, and it's very complicated and very complex, and it's also spilling over in this bit of a microcosm of Spanish society and machismo, as we call it in Spanish, which is, male dominance, and the way that men, particularly in Spain, but obviously across the world as well, certain men can treat women, and how embedded in both the Spanish FA and in Spanish society sexism is, and how oblivious the men at the top of the women's game are, and how they absolutely do not see that they've done anything wrong at all. Okay, let's start from the start. I've got a sort of timeline from the BBC website, who provided really, really good, up-to-date information on this topic. So I'm going to read that out, and then I'm going to give you my views from things that I've also investigated on Twitter and other platforms. And yeah, we're going to just have a little reflection on what's happened and what might happen next, and why all these things are really important. But basically, to start off, they're calling it the Me Too, #MeToo movement or moment in Spain, regarding not just, this has gone way further than football now, this is more to do with machismo and sexism in Spanish society. Okay, here we go. 20th of August, during the ceremony following the World Cup final, Spanish forward Jennifer Hermoso, she is the top goal scorer in Spanish football history for the national team. She did miss the penalty in the final, but they won the game anyway. She's first embraced and then kissed on the lips by Luis Rubiales. Hermoso later reacts to the kiss during a live stream and says she did not enjoy it. I'll come back to that later because I've got stuff to add. 21st of August, the day after, Rubiales issues an apology saying he's sorry for those who were offended, great apology, after being fiercely criticised by other footballers, the media, and even the Spanish Prime Minister, who's now got involved at this point, some of whom called on him to step down. On the 24th of August, World Football's governing body, FIFA, opens disciplinary proceedings to examine Rubiales' actions. The next day, on the 25th, a defiant Rubiales insists at a RFEF emergency meeting that he will not resign and calls the kiss consensual. On the same day, the Spanish government says it is beginning legal proceedings seeking to suspend Rubiales, with the Spanish Secretary of Sport saying he wants this to be the Spanish football's Me Too moment. Later that day, Hermoso releases a statement on Instagram rebuffing Rubiales' claims, saying that at no time was the kiss ever consensual. Later that day, on the 25th of August, 81 Spanish players, including all 23 players who went to the Women's World Cup, announced that they will not play for Spain's women's team until Rubiales is removed from his position. There's something else that happened on there, but I'll come back. The 26th of August, the next day, the Spanish Football Federation says it will take legal action over each falsehood that is spread. Now this was, I'll come back to this as well because that's really important. Same day, FIFA announces it is provisionally suspending Rubiales, so they've gone over the Spanish Federation's head, pending the outcome of its disciplinary proceedings, which I think is a 60-day, or 30 or 60-day, maybe 90, I can't remember. 26th of August, same day, World Cup winning head coach Jorge Vilda criticises Rubiales while his entire coaching staff resigns in protest against the Federation president. The day afterwards, 27th of August, the Federation's delegate for sexual violence protocol confirms an internal investigation into events is underway. The 28th of August, this is where it gets crazy. Rubiales' mother, so the Federation president who kissed Hermoso, Rubiales' mother goes on hunger strike in a church in his hometown of Motril. And later on the 28th, Spanish prosecutors open a preliminary investigation to see if the incident amounts to a crime of sexual assault. Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to embellish on each thing with extra information that I've sought out and my own personal opinions as well. Okay, so the 21st of August, Rubiales issues an apology. 20th of August, during the ceremony, he embraces and kisses Rubiales kisses Jenny Hermoso on the lips. I think his excuse, and I think maybe some people in the press defending him said, oh, she lifted him up from the waist in an embrace, and then as he landed, he kissed her. And they were suggesting that that was consent, like hugging someone, or in a sporting contest, lifting someone up in the waist and holding them up in the air. It was an excuse to be sexually assaulted. Like, I cannot, this is the struggle that, women are going through. Unfortunately, this is exactly it. It's like, oh, well, I took that as a sign that it was consensual. And I was just thinking back, and I'd love to watch, maybe I will look for it on YouTube, the Argentinians winning the World Cup and how many people lifted Messi up into the air. I wonder how many times he saw that as a reason to kiss his teammates on the lips. I would say that he didn't do it a single time, and I don't understand why it should be any different whatsoever. This has happened and sullied the greatest sporting history moment of the Women's World Cup winning national team. And obviously, it's not just about the women's game, it's another World Cup for the country of Spain. So they've got, is it one men's? Yeah, they won in South Africa, right? So they've got one for each of the men's team and the women's team, so they've won the World Cup twice. So this is like a massive, big deal, sporting-wise, and it's just been, completely forgotten about with everything that's going on. Okay, so the next thing, so on the 21st, he issues an apology saying he's sorry for those who are offended. I mean, that's just rude. So he's been criticised by the media, Spanish Prime Minister, who said he needs to step down. So 3 days later, World Football's governing body FIFA opens disciplinary proceedings to examine Rubiales' actions. Because at this point, the Spanish FA haven't done anything, and they're openly defending him. The next day, he calls an emergency meeting, and he said he won't resign. I think he said, actually, I won't resign, I won't resign, I won't resign, and calls the case consensual, and then was applauded by everyone in the room, including the Spanish manager, who should have been sacked with the issues that happened prior to the World Cup, when, however, I can't even remember, 15 players refused to play for him because they said that he wasn't good enough, and his preparation for games was subpar. And at that point, when they thought he was going to sack him, Rubiales stepped in and said, no, Jorge Vilda, the manager, needs to stay. So at this meeting, Jorge Vilda is clapping the I won't resign. Okay, just remember that. 25th of August, the Spanish government says beginning legal proceedings to suspend Rubiales, saying that the Spanish Secretary of Sport wants it to be the Spain's football's Me Too moment. Later that day, Hermoso releases a statement on Instagram rebuffing Rubiales' claims, saying that at no time was his kiss ever consensual. And at this point, this is where all the, oh, but you lifted him up in the air. Same day, 81 Spanish players, including all 23 players who went to the Women's World Cup, announced they will not play for Spain's women's team until Rubiales is removed from his position. This one gets really messy. There's also, I think, is it Borja Iglesias from Sevilla? For the men's team, also says that he won't play for the men's team. But so far, the men's reaction has been pretty underwhelming, and I'm really disappointed. I think that they should have stuck up for the women's team as well, but there we go. So the issue with this is that the next Spanish women's game is in like 2-3 weeks' time. It's in September, and they'll be called up soon. And in response to the 81 players saying that they wouldn't play for Spain, because of the way that being called up for your country works, they released a statement, the Spanish FA, and they said technically you can't not turn up if we call you, so we will just not respect your wishes and call you up anyway. So the Spanish FA is digging its heels in at this point, saying Rubiales won't be sacked, and if you get called up, then you get called up and you have to play for us, regardless of what you've said in your little letter, you know. Just really digging its heels in. The next day it gets even worse. So they say, on the 26th of August, the Spanish Football Federation says it will take legal action over each falsehood that is spread. This is the revised statement. The original statement said, Jenny Hermoso is lying and we will sue her. So basically the Spanish Football Federation called out the victim of sexual assault and said that she's lying and they're going to sue her. At this point, I started to get pretty upset. Even if, obviously I was pretty upset to begin with, but that is absolutely ridiculous. This is the absolute epitome of the, you know, the fact that they are absolutely so out of time in the Spanish FA, and they just don't get it. Like they just don't see what's happening, what's gone wrong, why it's wrong. And again, just throwing their weight around and just saying, oh no, she's lying. And this just reminded me of so many sexual harassment cases where women are just accused of making stuff up and being liars, which is just absolutely horrific. FIFA announces it will provisionally suspend Rubiales pending the outcome of his disciplinary proceedings. So suspended him at this point. So FIFA, who have noted that, you know, this is in complete disarray and the news story is not going away and it keeps getting worse, have had to go over the Spanish FA's head at this point. The same day, World Cup winning head coach Jorge Vilda, who clapped the I'm not resigning, I'm not resigning, I'm not resigning statement, came out and said Rubiales was wrong to do what he did. Meanwhile, all of the back room staff, the coaches, the trainers, everyone resigns. Jorge Vilda does not resign. So all of his staff has resigned, but he comes out and says, no, I'm not resigning, but I don't think Rubiales should have done it, even though he clapped him like 5 days ago. 27th of August, next day, the Federation's Delegate for Sexual Violence Protocol confirms an internal investigation into events is underway. 28th, Rubiales' mother locks herself in a church in her hometown of Motril, saying that there's a witch hunt for his son, former player for Getafe, I believe, and she's gone on hunger strike. I think she's trying to outdo a couple of the mothers in whose mothers are the most ridiculous at the moment. Is it the American mothers of Reina, or what was the other? Whose mother was it? Was it one of the Paris Saint-Germain mothers? Oh no, it's a French national team player. What was his name? I can see his face. Plays for Juve. Didn't his mother go on some crazy rant as well? So mum locks herself in a church and goes on hunger strike, and then the Spanish prosecutors open preliminary investigations to see if the incident amounts to a crime of sexual assault. So we're looking at the Spanish legal side of things actually suggesting that it's, you know, because it was on national global television, like possibly 1 billion people were watching, and he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. His bosses don't think that he's done anything wrong. So FIFA have had to step in, the Spanish government have had to step in, and the Spanish authorities have had to step in and basically take over, because they have botched the whole thing and called out the victim, said that she's a liar, and said that they're going to sue her. So it's an absolute fiasco, and it's not going away anytime soon. The article I read on it suggested that it was the most discussed topic in Spain this week, for obvious reasons, and it's one of those moments that, you know, people are sitting around the dinner table with their families in the evening discussing. So I guess that's what they mean when they want it to be the Me Too moment, that it's opening a dialogue, it's opening a discussion between potentially, you know, parents and their children to talk about equality, to talk about women's rights, and yeah, you know, it's awful. I wish it didn't happen, but at the same time, the fact that it has happened, as bad as I feel for Jenny, and you know, my thoughts go to her first and foremost. I kind of feel that it is an opportunity for social change in Spain and potentially in a wider environment, and as such, I feel that something really truly good can slowly happen in society as a result of this awful thing happening to one person. So I really do hope that it does stir conversations which encourage social change in Spain, which still, compared to northern European countries, I used to live in Spain, like I said at the beginning of the video, you know, there is a level of machismo in Spanish society, and sexism does prevail, and yeah, I think that it's a really, really good opportunity. I'm just really sorry for Jenny. I do kind of feel sorry for Rubiales, because he is a victim in a way. If we're going to, I do feel for him in the sense that his mum is right. There is a witch hunt going on. He's one person who's done what millions of Spanish men have done before him, and all of a sudden he's on every newspaper, every news agency, website, app. His name's around every dinner table. So yeah, he is a victim of something that, society has taught him is fine, essentially. And for that reason, I kind of feel a bit sorry for him. But, he is a vessel for social change. I just hope that, his own mental health, it would be great if, he had an opportunity to educate himself and understand what he's done wrong, and that, people eventually leave him alone and see the wider issue here. It's not him against Jennifer Hermoso, it's men in high-standing positions versus women who they are in charge of. And this is, a single case, but a much wider problem. And so after a while, I hope that people, leave him alone and forgive and forget, and give him an opportunity to learn and to change and to grow. And, people do have a habit of piling on and inciting, very serious mental health problems to an individual. So I hope that people eventually just, let him be and offer him an opportunity to change. But yeah, it sullied a wonderful moment in sporting history for the country. But off the back of that, I'm optimistic that it's going to incite social change in a country where people in Northern Europe would be quite shocked that there is still quite an inequality between men and women on a social level. Not talking about football now. Definitely there is in football as well, although technically the women's team have won it as many times as the men's team now. So, and their football was extremely good as well. So yeah, it's hopefully going to have a happy ending, but not yet. It's going to rumble on for quite some time. So yeah, what do you think? Do you agree with everything that I've said? Do you have any more information to add that I might have missed, or something I might have presented incorrectly? I'm not a journalist, I'm just a guy on YouTube, so feel free to correct me. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear your opinions on the matter. And if you want me to pick up this series and do it more regularly, which hot topics do you want me to discuss in next week's video? Okay, hope you enjoyed. Click like, drop a comment, press that subscribe button, join me on Patreon down below, like a couple of you have recently, so thank you so much to all my new patrons. And yeah, see you soon, and let me know if you want me to do this more regularly and what you'd like me to talk about.